Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, one of the greatest combinations you can possibly hope to come across. Just putting it right up there with bacon, lettuce and tomato.
Okay.
We have with us Mr. Brett Anderson from the top-rated, successful British band Blur. Suede, sorry. Brett, how are you?
I'm all right, Jonathan. How you doing?
Sorry, I momentarily lapsed there. That was just a joke, you see.
Yeah, no,
but
it's very funny.
Yeah, it was very good.
You took it in very good stead.
Well done.
Well, I was chuffed. All right, I apologise. We'll start again. Very nice to meet you. Thank you so much for coming in.
That's a pleasure to be here.
You are a good-looking bloke, aren't you?
God, thank you very much.
He's unbelievably good-looking.
Well, you said action hero earlier, didn't you?
What have I done to deserve this?
How nice to be good-looking all your life.
Well, you know, I went through a phase of not being very good-looking.
Well, that's a relief to all of us.
Crawled out of that little pit.
Now we feel a little bit better. I remember first seeing you when I guess your first album came out, and you were hailed as kind of the heirs, you and your band, to like Bowie and to that kind of art rock and extreme rock. And there was a photograph. You did an interview with Bowie.
That's right. Yeah, we did a sort of like a double kind of interview for the NME. Yeah.
That was when was that? That was
like 90. God, it was before our first album, so it must have been sort of 93, something like that.
God, that is a while.
10 years ago, yeah.
And because I remember at the time thinking, right, I got quite upset. I thought, who are these upstarts? Who are these people? Because I hadn't heard you.
Yeah.
And then when it came out, I could see exactly what they're saying, and no one else seemed to be doing that kind of thing at the time. And you were sort of out on your own. Now, was there a sort of? Did you feel that the time was right to start that again, or was it just the only sort of sound you wanted to make?
I think that when we first started, there wasn't anyone else that was really writing songs. To be honest, that was the kind of main thing that set us apart. You know, there was the big movement at the time was things like shoegazing and Manchester and Madchester and all that sort of stuff. And I've always been a songwriter, and I've always loved songs, and that was something I wanted to bring back into music, you know, and things like drama and talking about real life and stuff like that, you know, not talking in rock speak. I was always sort of like really sick of bands that just sort of seemed to rehash John Lennon quotes and stuff like this, and I wanted to talk about my life, you know.
But there was a thing, I think, the Manchester movement, I know it was more of a dance-based thing, but there were some good songs that came out. I mean, the Stone Roses...
without a doubt. Now, the Stone Roses were an excellent band, and the Happy Mondays were good as well. But with movements, there's always, you know, there's always sort of two good bands and then 100 stragglers, you know, creating dirgy music.
But I was surprised that Suede weren't... bigger. I know you've had a lot of hits over the years, but I always thought you should have been like one of these huge bands. I'm sure this is a sentiment you felt as well occasionally, but I always got the feeling that you should be like, you know, I don't particularly like going to see bands in stadiums, but I expected you to be doing that kind of thing.
I don't think you'll ever meet a musician that doesn't think that they should be bigger than they actually are. Do you know what I mean? It's just the nature of the game. It's really not for me to say.
But you've written songs which I would have thought could have been bigger hits, should have been bigger hits. You've got great charisma as a frontman. You have a great sound. You know, all those elements do seem to be present.
I think there's been a lot of we've never sort of played the commercial game. Put it that way. It's never been a particular goal of mine to kind of like quietly crawl up this like slow inclined ramp of success, and I think there's been a lot of times when we've really just you know messed it up a bit, you know what I mean, when we've had everything on a plate and we've just sort of like thrown it away.
So we're talking about the usual drinks, drugs,
that sort of thing, but you know, artistically as well, you know, look, our third album coming up was our biggest selling album. It sold like, you know, nearly 2 million records. And you know, the next it would have been very easy. The predictable kind of like commercial thing to have done would have been to make another record like that.
Yeah.
And we made Head Music, which was a very dark electronic record. And it's never been really our intention to sort of like, you know, please our accountants and things like that.
So when you
I've
look
never
back
been interested in a neat little middle class career.
But when you look back on something like that, then do you regret making that album, or
no, not at all. I think it was a really exciting album to have made, and it was a really exciting thing to have done. No, I make it a rule not to regret anything. I think you spend a lot of time picking away at your past, and you know, it's like unraveling a piece of wool on a jumper. You know what I mean? You start regretting things. You're going to be pulling this long piece away.
You don't want to open it up again.
All of a sudden, the jumper disappears. You know.
Leave the knots tied.
Exactly. Leave that piece of string alone.
I'm, you know, I don't know that much about you, but I always thought you were one of these guys who would burn out and disappear. To be honest with you, it struck me that you were heading that way. It didn't seem like the band were as well. You were quite volatile, and you seemed to be, and yet you seem actually very healthy. You seem probably more stable and sorted than I would have expected.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, the whole kind of like sort of point of the band in the early days was this sort of like flash of youthful bratishness. Do you know what I mean? All the songs were about burning out, and all the songs were about living your life on the edge, sort of thing. You know what I mean? I think people possibly assume that, but I think, you know, any artist has got to develop beyond their original concept. You know what I mean? And it's always been my intention to be around for a while. To put it simply, you know what I mean? To not just be a flash in the pan.
Do you still dress up on stage like you used to? You used to be quite make-uppy and a little bit kind of like.
There was definitely a sort of like a kind of like camp performance thing going on in the early days. So I think the sort of like the performance is a lot more real now and a lot more musical. I think in the very early days it was, you know, in the very early, you know, when you first start, to be honest, you're kind of insecure about your performance. You know, you're just starting, and so you probably do sort of. Ham things up a bit and stuff like that, and it's not until you get confident about your musicality, basically, that you can sort of like just kind of like become comfortable with yourself.
But it's kind of fun doing that as well, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when we first started, it was absolutely fun. You know, I felt there was no one else doing what we were doing, and we were. You know, to be honest, we were completely. We stuck out like a sore thumb. You know?
Yeah, well, that's what I liked about you, and it was great. It was very unusual.
Yeah.
Let's play a Suede track now.
Oh,
let's dig one out. I know we're going to play some public. No, let's play an old one. What's that?
Okay, well, we played Wild Ones earlier because I said that I met Brett.
Which one should we play, Brett? Which old one should we play?
What
haven't you heard on the radio?
Why
for a while?
don't you play Beautiful Ones? That's a good little song.
I like that one.
That was a hit, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay, and then Brett playing live after that?
Okay, well, we might chat a bit more, and then we'll get him over there. But first of all, I wanted to put a bit of makeup on first. I want to recapture the heavy days of his youth. That's Blur from way back when, was that?
It didn't work the first time.
But no, it got a laugh the second time, you see.
What, from me?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to help you out because I think, you know, I could see Brett looking a bit shocked.
No, he's not looking at all shocked. I'm sure he's seen things with his eyes you could not imagine. Am I right, Brett?
Yes.
He's like Rutger Hauer in Blade Runner. He's in attack ships on fire off the rim of Uranus or whatever the line is. So, Brett, are you going to... Now, what are you doing this coming year, then, coming up the year ahead? Because that's the album is out, the Suede album sample. It's the best of we've got here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's called Singles, yeah.
And they're all that. And you just did the... how many nights? 5 nights at the ICA?
We did like a 5-night thing at the ICA where we kind of basically... We've had 5 albums out, and we basically played an album every night.
That must have been a nightmare to learn all that material.
It was a lot of work, actually. It was like 7... I think we worked out it was like 75 songs we had to learn for it. So we were rehearsing for like 3 weeks.
I can't imagine many bands would have the energy to go back and
I mean, what happened was we thought of the idea first and we agreed to do it, and then suddenly we kind of like realised the reality of doing something like that. It was a lot of work. But I'm kind of quite proud of it. I don't think anyone's done it before, like the whole kind of back catalogue.
And for fans, what a fantastic experience. I mean, just think think right now of your favourite artist of all time, and imagine you could go and see him or her performing an album, and you did it in sequence, in the actual album order. Yeah. That's fantastic. That's great. The only experience I've had close to that is when Bowie did Heathen. Yeah. And he did all of Heathen, and then he did all of Low. Mm-hmm. And that was a great experience. Of course, you wanted a couple of other albums.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of... I mean, Brian Wilson... I saw Brian Wilson do Pet Sounds at the Royal Festival
I heard that was tremendous.
And that was fantastic. But, yeah, obviously people have done complete albums before. I don't think anyone's done their whole back catalogue.
See, I'm still hoping Chaz and Dave are going to do something similar. Because, but they're a much maligned group. They are much maligned. They had some good songs. Come on.
Yeah, but how many nights?
Well, darling, there ain't no pleasing
Down
you.
Margate.
Yeah, I ain't... You and I, after the show, let's have a bit of a knees up. We've got Jules Holland. Let's get him in.
We'll do a kind of Britpop revival.
Yeah,
Rabbit. We'll do Rabbit. Brett's going to perform live for us this morning. I'm delighted to say, just Brett and his guitar. What's the track you're going to do?
I'm going to play Trash.
Okay.
Oh, I'm going to attempt it. Oh, maybe it's the clothes we wear, the tasteless bracelets and the dye in our hair. Maybe it's our kookiness. Or maybe it's our nowhere towns, our nothing places and our cellophane sounds. Maybe it's our looseness, but we're trash, you and me. We're the litter on the breeze, we're the lovers on the streets. Trash, me and you. It's in everything we do. It's in everything we do. Or maybe it's the things we say, the words we've heard, and the music we play. Maybe it's our cheapness. Or maybe it's the times we've had, the lazy days and the crazes and the fads. Maybe it's our sweetness. Trash, you and me, we're the litter on the breeze, we're the lovers on the streets. Trash, me and you, it's in everything we do. It's in everything we do.
I didn't realise how great that song was until I just heard it then. And I knew it was a good song, but that sounded fantastic. That was brilliant.
Thank you very much.
But you should be very, very successful indeed. What's going on in the world? Why aren't you playing stadiums? Never mind Depeche bloody... Yeah, but Depeche Mode all the time they're out there. What have they got? Like 3 songs? You've got 5 albums worth. Who's managing you now?
That guy out there. That's,
right, tell him to hang around. I want to have words with him. What's his name?
His name's Charlie.
Look at the state of him for a start.
Looks like
he looks like
man.
a market trader. You want to go up? You want to go up a level?
I know.
I'll get you some phone numbers.
Yeah.
Brett, thank you. I really appreciate you coming in.
Thanks a lot, Jonathan.
It
Cheers.
sounded fantastic.
Cheers.
Good luck with this album. Good luck with next year's. I know you might be doing some solo stuff next year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So perhaps if you want to come back on and do something,
I'd love to. Yeah,
that would be great. Have a great Christmas.
Cheers, man.
Brett Anderson is leaving the building, ladies and gentlemen.